Good afternoon, this is Cloud Chartist. I'm making a little video on the ES here. I want to say welcome to all my new followers on YouTube. Thanks for subscribing. I'm sorry I haven't been putting out many videos lately. I hope that you have had a chance to enjoy some of the archives and that you've picked up some Ichimoku magic and tips from them. Anyway, let's get going on this ES chart. So I don't know if you've been following me on Twitter. I post this chart pretty much every day. The fibs that I have drawn on here are from the candle body high up here and the candle body low down here. I tend to not use the wicks when I'm charting futures and equities. Sometimes when I chart FX, I use the wicks because FX traders tend to use the wicks. What can I say? So yesterday we put in a, this is yesterday's candle. We put in a gravestone doji that basically came and tested the top of the cloud. I can zoom in a little bit. Tested the top of the cloud here and failed. Came back down to the approximate level of the day before's candle, which was Friday. And today we tried to test above the cloud and failed, and we are now moving lower. So my potential targets on the daily time frame for the ES are the 61.8 here. That hasn't, let me zoom out again, that hasn't been a particularly useful level in the past, but it's worth thinking about. Then we have this gap fill from last Friday that we're going to need to fill, so that is a potential target as well. In Ichimoku, there's also a gap fill, looks like a little gap fill over here as well. But so in Ichimoku, gaps are called windows, and they act as support and resistance. I tend to leave gap windows in blue on my charts for long periods of time because even if the gap gets filled, the windows tend to be pretty handy and still act as resistance much later into the future, sometimes years. That level tends to be a level of interest. So potentially I'm looking for this level to be hit and this gap to be filled, and then I think that it's likely that we'll test all the way down to the Tenkan-sen. The Tenkan-sen today is at 27.27. I think it is unlikely that we get there today, but I think the Tenkan-sen will be tested eventually before we move higher, if we do move higher. The Tenkan-sen moves every day with price action, and since there's been this vast upward momentum, the Tenkan-sen will probably be in a higher location tomorrow, or maybe even around this 50% fib area, maybe around 27.35, 34, something like that. We shall see where it is tomorrow. Can't guess where it's going to be. The RSI is not doing nothing in particular right at the moment, pretty middling. So let me zoom out and let's look at the cloud overall. So we see that the cloud has been in this really beautiful uptrend throughout this beautiful uptrend. Moving up and up and up, and then came to this pinnacle on Friday, or sorry, on yesterday, came to this pinnacle yesterday, and then there's a major cliff drop. That is not bullish. That is not something that you want to see if you're a short-term bull. It might be fine in the longer term, but the nature of the cloud is changing completely. We have this beautiful cloud rising up, and then we have a cliff drop, and then we have a cloud twist. And in this cloud, let me zoom in again. In this cloud twist area, you'll note that the cloud is extremely thin right in this area right now, so right here. So that's from the 15th until the 20th. The cloud is only like a pixel wide. That means that the cloud offers like pretty much no support. So if we find ourselves with price in this area, like say price loses this gap window area and is around here, somewhere between 2700 and 2730, thereabouts, it's very dangerous that area. Like price could lose cloud support and go from being bullish to being bearish. Currently, by the way, in case you're relatively new to Ichimoku, the general rule is that if price is above the cloud, it's bullish. If it's inside the cloud, it's neutral. And if it's below the cloud, it's bearish. That's just sort of the general rule. So right now, price action is inside the cloud, so it's neutral. And then going forward into the end of March and April, we have a cloud that's becoming thicker, but very flat in character. Both this cloud and this cloud are both very flat in character. So that suggests a period of consolidation if we do manage to hold the cloud. If we get under the cloud, then it still suggests a period of sideways price action. It does not suggest that we're going to rip higher currently. So we can only see the next 26 weeks. The next 26 days here in this daily time frame. So let me shift down to some smaller, shorter time frames while I have you. Let's look at the 4-hour. The 4-hour, we see that after we put in that peak on Friday, we came down and tested the Tenkan-sen. We traded under the Tenkan-sen, then we regained the Tenkan-sen. Then this morning, we went much higher than the Tenkan-sen, but we kept finding resistance in this 2800 area. It's a psychological number. People want to short the 2800. I know I did. In fact, I shorted the 2800 over here, and I shorted it again over here. And then we lost the important 4-hour Tenkan-sen. This candle is still open, so who knows? Maybe we'll get some crazy buying spree, and price will close above it, but I kind of doubt it. We're looking for 2790. 63 is where that's at. So we'd need to. Well, we could move up 10 points. Who knows what will happen? We shall see. But so far, it's looking like we are breaking the Tenkan-sen, and the Tenkan-sen is also pointing down. You'll notice and what's happening here is the Kijun-sen is pointing up and the Tenkan-sen is pointed down. So it looks like the potential for a bear cross is pretty decent, and bear crosses are bearish, right? So if we continue to move lower, we can look for potential support at the Kijun-sen, which is down currently at 2750.63. If we go through more candles, then as we move through time, these levels will change. The Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen levels will change. They always do. Well, they don't always do. They could go flat as well and stay at the same level. But if we lose this Kijun-sen 2750 level, then we're going to encounter the gap window that I previously referred to. If we lose the gap window, then we will have support down here at the 4-hour cloud, which is around 2719, thereabouts. 2718, 2719, something like that. If we go to shorter time frames, and this is basically my mode of analysis. I start from higher time frames and work down into lower time frames. Top-down analysis is what it's called. So let's look at the hourly time frame. Because we have different clouds on every time frame, giving us more and more information and more levels that we can work with. And basically, as I say in all my videos, you want to match the cloud to the time frame that you're trading and the risk management system that you're using as well. So on the hourly cloud, we see that we are neutral inside the cloud here, as we were unable to close inside the cloud on the last hourly candle. You can see, let me zoom in, make it sure. You can see that we closed right under the top of the cloud here. We were unable to close on top, and therefore we opened the new candle slightly above and then traded, or we opened the new candle below, traded slightly above, and then traded back inside the cloud. So anyway, sorry. We do have support down here at the bottom of the cloud, and that's around 2763. So keep an eye on that level if we do trade down there. Also, the Chikou, this red line here representing price action, time shifted 26 periods in the past, so 26 hours into the past. The Chikou is going to come into the Kijun-sen at some point. If it was to come into it on this hour, it would be all the way down here at 2770. But as we move, forward in time, it's going to be at different levels. The Chikou could find support at the Kijun-sen, this pink line. In which case we could find a bounce. Now, if the Chikou comes into support and we do bounce, Chikou is going to run into these candles again, which is going to cause problems for it. And let's go down to the 15-minute, which is basically my standard scalping time frame. I really don't like to trade. I do watch 5-minute charts, but I like to base my trades on 15-minute charts. I can't really move as fast as 5-minute charts can move, but they're handy, especially when trading stuff like silver or bonds or something like that. So on the 15-minute time frame, you notice that we are oversold on RSI, so that's probably why we're catching a little bit of an oversold bounce here. Ichimoku has its own RSI system. Well, I wouldn't say it has its own equilibrium system. In fact, that's what Ichimoku is about. It's about equilibrium. So when you see the Tenkan-sen, because price action always wants to go back to the cloud. Basically, it's like gets stretched out like a rubber band on either side of the cloud, and then it wants to go back to the cloud towards equilibrium. So you see that the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen have both gone flat here. When that happens, it requests a bounce. It requests reversion back towards the mean. And the Tenkan-sen is currently at 27.89. So we could get a bounce that goes all the way up there, but I think that the bounce is likely going to fail, and that we'll move lower. If we do get a bounce all the way back to 27.89, then we have some more resistance above at the Kijun-sen at 27.90 and the cloud. If we get back over 27.93 or whatever, then it's much more likely that we could have a bullish conclusion to the end of the day. So the reason that I think, or an important chart to keep an eye on if you're trading the ES, I say this on my Twitter feed all the time, is the Nikkei. And the Nikkei was very bullish overnight. In fact, got very overbought. You can see this red line on the RSI got very overbought overnight. Putting in a head and shoulders type pattern, came down, was trying to hold the cloud here and put in this doji in the middle of the cloud, but then failed to hold the cloud. And this is when the ES just made that very fast sell-off a little while ago, when the Nikkei lost support on the 15-minute time frame. So if you're not watching the Nikkei, you should be. Anyway, I'm getting a little long-winded, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for joining me. Follow me on Twitter, and if you like this video or if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Thank you.